Good morning, good afternoon or good evening everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another instalment in the Sydney Railroad build. If you're watching last time, you will have seen me complete the track laying on the main circuit, but at that point there was still a lot of wiring and switch machines missing. This week I will correct that omission. So without further ado, let's just head out to the workshop and get to work. Yesterday I finished track laying on the double track main line all the way around the circuit. Today's task is to start on wiring it up, getting the bus wires in. I've already been out here a little while this morning. I've built drop-down panels for the two occupancy detector boards, and those are installed. And I've just started pulling wires through for the buses. I'm going to start here and then work on getting everything back to the boards. And then I'm going to work on getting all of them from here to the DCC cabinet in one go, because that's going to involve a lot of reaching underneath. So I want to get all the wires together in one bundle before I pull it through. I think it's way more than I'm going to get finished today, but I'm just going to get on with it, see how far I get. And I will check in with you again periodically. Well, I've been working steadily at the wiring all day. I haven't really finished anything, but I've still got quite a lot done. The problem I've been running into is that I'm running out of several different colours of wire. I knew I had some on order. I ordered everything I needed a couple of weeks ago, and then I just had it out of mind. And then this morning I realised it wasn't here. And normally I receive it in less than a week from that shipper. Turns out that UPS decided to return it to sender. No explanation given, so I don't know why. Well, I went to the Napa Auto Parts store this morning to see what colours of wire I could get. I managed to get 2 rolls, 2 of the colours that I was missing, and I've done about all I can with those extra 2 colours. I'm still missing several, and I'm just going to have to wait for the order to arrive. It's a little bit annoying because I was hoping to make some good progress this week, and it looks like I'm going to have to work on other projects instead. I spoke to my online wire supplier this morning, and the replacement package has already been shipped. So really all I can do now is wait. Well, my wait for the missing wire has ended. It finally arrived this morning. So now I have all the bus wires in all the way along this side of the room. There was a lot missing. Anyway, I think that's a pretty good day's work. It's time to feed Zeus now, so I will get all these circuit boards wired up tomorrow. I'll see you then. Well, today has been another one of those days where I've been out here hard at work all day, and there really isn't a lot to show for it because it's just the nature of the job. I've done a whole load of little bits and pieces. I started off this morning by putting in these last 2 spurs in here, because while I was working on the wiring last week, the microengineering track arrived. So I was able to finish the track laying in this area. I've also finished the feeders in this area. I had to do 5 sets of feeders at the top of the grade. So I've done those. Done a lot of neatening up of wire in this area. I've got all the circuit boards along this side wired up. Haven't got them tested yet because I haven't finished connecting up the wires to the control cabinet. But I've got them from here, run them through underneath. That was a hard job. There was a lot of crawling around from one side to the other, but I'm glad I only have to do it once. So I've got those wires through there. And I've also hooked up the LocoNet cable all the way along this side. About the last 8 or 9 boards have now been hooked up and connected up to this one under the paper mill, which is the last one that was already done. So I think it's a pretty good day's work. I'm going to go in now, feed Zeus, have my dinner, sit down for a bit, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Well, yesterday I reported that I'd got a lot of miscellaneous wiring tasks done, mostly along the long side wall on the upper level. I also mentioned that I had not yet connected up the control boards to the DCC cabinet. Well, here is the other end of those 6 wires. And it is the 3 power districts that are missing in that area there. So my first task for the day is to get those hooked up, and then I can turn everything on and test everything along that side of the railroad. Hopefully it's right. I will know soon enough. So let me just turn the camera off, get to work, and I'll talk to you again later. Last time I was out here, I got all the switch machines installed for this side of the room. Everything is now programmed and tested and working properly. I haven't wired up the frogs yet. I was just about to start on that when I realized that this board at the end is in the wrong place. This quad LN needs to go over here, and it also needs to be a wider piece of plywood to allow space for the signal expansion board. I wasn't thinking when I installed it, but there will be signals around this crossover. So I need to move it. That's the first thing I'm going to get done this afternoon, and then whatever time is left I will start on wiring up the frogs. So let me just turn the camera off, get back to work, and I'll talk to you again later. I've now moved this quad LM board from in here to the next section right here, where it is going to be close to the signals it will have to control eventually. I've also put it on a wider piece of plywood so there is room for the signal control expansion board out there. It took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. Initially I was going to extend the LocoNet cable by putting in a connector and adding a piece, but then I decided to do it properly, take that one out altogether and put a longer piece in. And then as I was hooking everything up, I discovered that I had to extend the bus wires for the power supply. Here they are. And rather than just do one section, I extended it all the way to the end, because ultimately that will save time in the long run. It's done now. I still got some time left. I'm going to start wiring up the frogs in this section, and I'll see how far I get. I now have all the frogs wired up and tested. I started at this end, at the top of the ramp from the lower level. Just systematically worked my way down, installing all the green wires to the center pole of the switches. And then when I got to the end, I just worked my way back again, installing the other 2 wires for each one. So it's 13 turnouts altogether, or 13 frogs altogether. All done, all tested, and didn't take all that long. I'm going to go in now, get Zeus fed, and I'm going to be out here again tomorrow. See you then. Well, yesterday I reported that I had finished wiring up all these switch machines in the small town along the east wall. Today I've been working on getting the same thing done on the main lines through the main yard. I had to start by programming all the quad LM boards at this end, 1 there and 2 more around this side. I already had most of the switch machines installed in this area, but today I've wired them up, got them working and tested, made sure all the frogs are correctly wired and tested those too. I can't finish the job at the moment because I'm still missing some bus wires. I ran the bus wires for the main lines and for the passenger loop, but I didn't do it for the yard. I will do that when I'm ready to lay the track in the yard. But although the bus wires are in for the passenger loop, I haven't wired up the occupants detector board at the far end. So I guess I should do that next, and then that's a little bit more track that I can get tested. So let me move down to the other end of the yard. I'll talk to you again later. Well, I have spent most of the day underneath the railroad in this corner. I have got all the wiring finished. I'm still missing a few more switch machines in that back corner. That'll be a task for tomorrow. Actually, come to think of it, I haven't finished the wiring. I've still got to do the roundhouse stall tracks, but those will have to be routed to a panel on the front edge of the fascia with some switches for isolating. So I'm going to do that another time. All the track in this area is wired up and tested. All the switch machines of the frogs wired up. They're all tested. So that's a pretty good day's work. Well, I have been out here all day today. I started off by installing 7 more switch machines around the outside of the engine terminal. Then I had to catch up on bus wires for the yard lead and for this area in here. I got this occupancy detector board wired up. All the switch machines have the frogs wired, although I have not yet programmed the quad LN to control them. Time has caught up on me. I think every piece of track that I have laid now has the feeders properly hooked up. I can't test it until I've got the switch machines programmed, because I've got those rods sticking up and it'll prevent me from running a locomotive. So that will be a task for next time I come out here, and then I should be in a position where I can run over the entire circuit. Well, so far this wonderful Monday morning, I have got those last 7 switch machines in the back, all tested, programmed. I did manage to wire up 4 of the frogs backwards, but fixing it's pretty easy. As soon as I try to run a locomotive over it, it will tell me by shorting out as soon as it gets to the frog, and then it's just a case of swapping the 2 wires around. These switch machines that I'm buying from N3iX are very convenient because they have a micro switch already installed with screw terminals, so it's just a case of backing out the screws and swapping the wires over. There's no soldering necessary under the benchwork. So the next thing on my to-do list is to get the whole railroad cleaned off and do a test run of the mainline circuit. And that will be quite a milestone. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the video, found it useful or interesting, or both. I know there isn't a huge amount of visible progress to see, but that's just the nature of the wiring and switch machine tasks. Getting the main line ready to use on such a large railroad is, I think, a major achievement, and I'm quite pleased to have reached that milestone. Next week I'm planning on presenting a cab ride over the entire circuit, so be sure to tune in for that. Until then, thanks for watching, and bye for now.